Welcome, everyone, to the 8th explainer in our series on human consciousness in the context of Indian knowledge systems and modern sciences, titled Current Problems of Human Consciousness. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide today. Over the next 9 to 11 minutes or so, we are going to embark on a journey exploring literally one of the most profound mysteries known to humanity. Think about it for a second. What does it actually feel like to be you? That deeply personal, subjective spark? Well, that's at the very center of everything we are about to discuss today. So get comfortable, focus that attention of yours, and let's unravel this fascinating topic together.
To kick things off, we really have to recognize that consciousness, our awareness, our perception, our deeply subjective experiences, it's one of the most intricate puzzles across neuroscience, psychology, and philosophy. Scientists actually call it the hard problem, because how exactly does physical matter inside our skulls create this rich, subjective feeling of being alive? It's wild. And consciousness isn't just some abstract academic concept, right? It is the very lens through which we experience reality. Because it's so foundational, the persistent challenges in understanding it directly impact both our personal, daily well-being and the incredibly complex ways our global society functions.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. To truly grasp the current problems surrounding human consciousness, we are taking a micro to macro approach today. We'll start with the puzzle of consciousness and then look at individual battles of the mind. From there, we'll explore identity in the modern age, and then society, technology, and ethics. Finally, we'll look at our fragmented global collective. Essentially, we are starting intimately inside our own minds before zooming out to examine the consciousness of our entire globe.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the puzzle of consciousness, looking at awareness, perception, and subjective experience. We're laying the foundation here by highlighting that, despite extensive research over decades, the incredibly elusive nature of consciousness just keeps creating a cascade of modern challenges for us. Which brings us right to Section 2, individual battles of the mind, and how stress, mood, and addiction alter our reality. We're shifting our perspective inward now, focusing on those intimate daily struggles happening right inside our own heads.
So there is a very real biological progression to how chronic stress fundamentally disrupts our consciousness. When we're chronically stressed, we enter this state of heightened awareness of negative stuff. This alters how we process emotions and thoughts, which directly impacts our physiological responses. Ultimately, this emotional duress can physically manifest as psychosomatic disorders. A super prevalent example of this is IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. Research by Dehaene 67 vividly demonstrates this connection. Your brain and your gut are constantly talking to each other. So when your brain's conscious perception fixates on an ongoing threat, it just sends persistent alarm signals downward. Basically, your conscious experience literally changes your physical reality, altering gut responses and resulting in actual physical symptoms. It's not just in your head, it's a full body experience.
And that severe disruption of reality absolutely extends to psychological disorders too. Conditions like PTSD, anxiety, and depression significantly distort how a person experiences consciousness. In depression, for instance, a person's consciousness is frequently dominated by these persistent negative thoughts, completely distorting their perception of reality and self-worth. But we do have incredible tools to fight back. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR for short, is highly effective here. According to Siegel 45, MBSR isn't just about kicking back and relaxing, it's about fundamentally rewiring how your brain reacts. By intentionally enhancing your conscious awareness of the present moment, you can actually disrupt those looping negative thought patterns. It creates this critical pause between the stimulus and your response, allowing individuals to cognitively reframe negative thoughts and effectively regulate their emotions.
Now, another major individual battle is addiction. And addiction is fundamentally an altered state of consciousness. Substances induce profound changes in the mind that people compulsively pursue for emotional solace, and this completely supersedes rational thought. When you get down to it, the core struggle of addiction is essentially a battle of timelines. Immediate gratification heavily dominates the decision-making process, totally clouding out long-term objectives. But if we look at the research of Chalmers 89, treatments like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, step in to bridge this exact gap. CBT helps restore a healthier conscious awareness by teaching individuals to meticulously identify their triggers, both environmental and emotional. By bringing these subconscious urges into the light of conscious awareness, CBT helps people reconnect their daily actions with those long-term goals and reestablish profound self-control. It's a real game changer.
Moving right along to Section 3, identity in the modern age, the self versus the curated persona. I want you to pause for a second here and genuinely reflect on your own sense of identity.
Think about who you are when absolutely no one is watching versus who you project yourself to be online. Kinda different, right?
And this brilliantly illustrates the tension. In our fast-paced, tech-driven world, there is immense social pressure to present a perfectly curated version of the self. When there's a sharp discrepancy between your authentic, conscious experience, the messy, real you, and the idealized digital identity you project to the world, it induces deep internal turmoil. The mental exhaustion of constantly code-switching between your real life and your digital life creates this profound sense of self-alienation. You can literally lose connection with your authentic self. As noted by research from Bars 103, this specific type of identity distortion exacerbates mental health issues like anxiety and depression, particularly in younger generations who have grown up with this duality. This is exactly why the idea of a digital detox is gaining so much traction. It's a necessary tool to help people unplug from the algorithm and reconnect with their actual, real-world identities.
Now we need to contrast that digital identity loss with biological identity loss. As we age, our consciousness endures substantial biological transformations. Conditions like Alzheimer's disease and dementia cause profound cognitive decline, fundamentally shifting a person's conscious reality. It is deeply tragic because it systematically strips away the autobiographical memories that form the very core of a person's identity, leading to a severely fragmented sense of self. Patients might forget critical life histories, their loved ones, or even their own names. Their awareness of time and their physical environment becomes entirely disoriented. To combat this devastating deterioration, the medical field is actively developing cognitive training programs and memory aids to help preserve that precious awareness for as long as biologically possible.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4. Society, technology, and ethics, the collective mind and the machines we build. We are zooming out now, moving from the confines of the individual mind all the way up to the societal level to explore our collective consciousness.
At a societal level, collective consciousness is what drives broad social movements and massive shifts in public awareness. A highly visible example detailed in our source material is the #MeToo movement. It impartially demonstrates how a collective shift in consciousness can draw vital global attention to critical social issues, fundamentally changing the cultural conversation around gender inequality. But establishing cohesive collective change is incredibly complex. As noted in the research of Wilbur 152, social media platforms act as a massive double-edged sword here. They are a powerful means of democratizing voices and increasing global awareness. But simultaneously, they frequently highlight and even amplify deep societal divides. Varying viewpoints collide in these digital spaces, often resulting in intense polarization rather than a harmonious, unified collective consciousness.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound ethical dilemma it presents. As we build increasingly advanced artificial intelligence, we are forced to challenge our very comprehension of human thought. What happens if a neural network starts asserting that it feels pain, or joy, or fear? It remains entirely unclear whether AI systems can actually experience consciousness, or if they are just incredibly good at simulating human emotion based on vast patterns of data. This rapidly blurring line challenges our fundamental definition of what it actually means to be a conscious entity.
And this ethical frontier extends directly into our own brains through neurotechnology like brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. Take the development of technologies from companies like Neuralink, for example. The potential medical advancements are undeniably incredible. Imagine enabling individuals with severe paralysis to communicate or operate machinery simply by using their thoughts. That is life-changing. However, as outlined by Dehaney 67, modifying an individual's conscious experience at the neurological level introduces daunting ethical risks. Think about it. If an algorithm is helping to translate or even predict your thoughts before you act on them, where does the machine end and your own free will begin? We have to seriously question the implications for individual autonomy, the absolute privacy of our inner thoughts, and the very concept of human agency when machines interface directly with our consciousness.
This brings us to our final section, Part 5, our fragmented global collective, covering Earth, globalization, and echo chambers. We are zooming out to the maximum macro level now to examine the consciousness of our entire interconnected planet. Globalization has deeply and irreversibly impacted our cultural consciousness. On one hand, it creates wonderful, widespread interconnectedness, allowing us to share ideas across continents in literally milliseconds. But simultaneously, it drives intense cultural homogenization. The spread of westernized ideals through global media can easily eclipse local customs in non-Western societies. This creates a cultural conflict where individuals feel alienated and disassociated from their traditional values, a literal loss of their cultural identity, creating a flattened, monocultural landscape. This is precisely why, as Chalmers 89 argues, the active promotion of multiculturalism is absolutely vital. It preserves a rich, diverse cultural consciousness, allowing people to engage in the global community without losing their unique historical roots.
When we look at global challenges like the environmental crisis, the battle for collective consciousness is abundantly clear. We see powerful unifying actions, initiatives like Greta Thunberg's Fridays for Future and global events like Earth Hour, which strive to elevate public awareness and unify collective consciousness toward long-term planetary sustainability. However, these initiatives are constantly fighting against massive dividing forces: societal inertia, the deeply human desire for short-term gratification, and pervasive digital echo chambers. Referencing the work of Searle 233, digital algorithms are precisely designed to prioritize and feed us content that perfectly aligns with our existing convictions. This traps us in isolated echo chambers, presenting everyone with a slightly different version of reality. It creates deep political polarization and fractures our collective reality so much that finding the common ground necessary to solve massive global problems becomes incredibly difficult.
So the crucial point is this. From the intimate biological stressors affecting your gut to the digital personas you curate online, all the way up to the massive global algorithms shaping our collective reality, your consciousness is constantly under influence. We've journeyed from individual stress to global fragmentation today. If we want to promote individual well-being and true societal progress, we must strive for more harmonious and insightful engagement with our own awareness. Which leaves us with a provocative thought to ponder. As technology and society evolve so rapidly, who is truly in control of your consciousness?
Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you found this explainer as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on who really controls our consciousness, share this with a fellow curious mind, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an explainer.
See you next time.